What does it feel like to be wrong? I imagine it feels no different than being right. Because when we are wrong, we don't feel like we're wrong. We feel like we're right. And often the confidence we have when we feel we're right, it can be blinding. And if we don't have the self-correcting and objective methods of science and logic, we can fall down a rabbit hole that will eat us alive. I recently had a conversation with someone on TikTok, and I would say he had some questionable beliefs. And we went back and forth for a while, and I would say that his claims did not meet the rigorous standards of science or logic. And so, he sent some videos as a conduit for his evidence. I decided to reply. After all, my goal as an academic is to address these gross misunderstandings in science and physics and hopefully shed some light on why they even exist at all. I typically have debates and discussions in physics and logic, and the subject matter is typically relevant to the current state of academia. But I thought that there were certain beliefs that were almost extinct. Nowhere to be found amongst the ontology of would-be intellectual outliers, beliefs and ideas that I thought were addressed hundreds of years ago. I was wrong. And it's not as if I should have seen this coming. 6,000 years ago, civilization was born. Schools, 4,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, we leave the Bronze Age. We discover the Earth isn't flat 2,000 years ago. The Song Dynasty leads the world in economic sophistication 1,000 years ago. And with the help of Galileo, we refined the scientific method to study nature itself and discover her secrets. The scientific revolution 300 years ago. If there is an advanced alien species that exists millions of light years away and millions of years in the past or the future, they are using the same scientific method that we are. It is said that there can be no greater test of an idea than its predictive capabilities. And in just the few hundred years of the scientific revolution taking hold, we have created better medicine, the motor, the light bulb. We've harnessed the power of electrons to do our bidding. We're able to manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum to immediately communicate with anyone in the world who possesses the necessary device and the will to do so. We have become advanced to such a degree that we went from creating machines that do complex mathematics and making tunnels that accelerate particles near the speed of light to peer into the heart of the atom. Science is so powerful, we've been able to peer across the vastness of the universe and leave our footprints on the moon. So why do people still think the Earth is flat?
What do you think about this guy?
Oh God, Dave Nye, the lion guy. I think he's a clown. I think he's an agent. I think he's a controlled operative. Basically a black magician that's been compromised, working for the sorcery elite. He's selling solipsism. He's selling snake oil. He's selling deception. He's selling moral relativism. He's a demon, charlatan, manipulator, deceiver.
There's cures for cancer. There's a cure for AIDS. I just became vegan this last year, bro. I'm like, Pepsi had aborted babies, like the little fecal cells inside of their flavoring.
Is there anything that you don't think was an inside job?
That's a tough one. You know, the Jews are in fucking. Yeah, they freaking control all the everything. I mean, if you 9/11. Back to that. You know what? I used to lie to people a lot about like, hey, my uncle was died in 9/11 because they think that you can't talk about a subject unless you have someone like, oh,
y'all, they've been stacking up the lies, but they all fall. Pinocchio used to go to the Earth's aglow, but then his nose done grown till it hit the dome.
Neil deGrasse can't debate these facts if he wanted to. Earth is flat and stationary, bro. That means it doesn't move. When confronted with the proof, liars get uncomfortable.
It should be tilted and spinning. Also, you're going to notice some cartoon clouds here, or Photoshop. And then also, all that is observable here is Northern America. We have no Asia, no Europe, no Africa, no Australia, and no South Pole.
Isn't it on the other side?
So why do people still think the Earth is flat? I don't know. That's not what I do. I don't really try to figure out the motivations of why somebody believes something, only whether or not that belief has a justification to warrant adopting that belief. It's not really my focus or even in my skill set to determine if somebody believes something on misinformation, carelessness, or even dishonesty. I don't care if the person that I'm talking to is lying to me about what they believe, because being dishonest about a claim that you're making won't make your argument logical. Being dishonest about something that you believe won't make insufficient evidence sufficient. So we won't assume that these individuals are being dishonest or lying because we don't have mind-reading powers. We have something better. Science. In this 3-part video series, we're going to take these claims at face value and answer them concisely and effectively. We won't just dispense disagreements without warrant or without cause. We're going to identify the actual logical fallacies and faulty evidence that leads people down the scary, dimensionally challenged road of flat Earth. Typically, you would show somebody evidence for a claim, and that would change the mind of the individual. But that individual in question would have to understand good evidence when they see it, and more importantly, identify bad evidence when they see it. Alas, it seems that even the most conspicuous and obvious evidence can fall on deaf ears or blind eyes or emotional attachment, as if the mystery of why this ignorance persists in the face of mountains of opposing evidence is more baffling than the ignorance itself. What I mean is, I feel as though the evidence to the contrary, showing these individuals to be wrong, is so consistent and in abundance and readily available, they probably should have started with that. They probably should have started with the responses to their claims, which exist everywhere. And I know he and others may not like me using the word ignorance, but that's what it's called, an argument from ignorance fallacy. It's where the foundation of your argument rests upon you not knowing or understanding something. Life must have been created because I don't know of any other way it could have appeared. It must be an alien spacecraft because I don't know what else it could be. Rockets don't work in space because I don't understand basic chemistry. These are all positions that hold a belief due to an admitted ignorance on the matter. The problem here? The lack of an answer to one question cannot serve as an explanation to another. Statements and propositions are shown to be true when you can demonstrate the truth value of their claim, not when Noon just says, hey, I don't get it. Sometimes it's not the claim that someone makes that baffles me. It's the ease at which they could have done a little bit of research to know better. The following video will serve to illustrate.
You've never seen a meteorite hit Earth, ever.
I've never personally seen one, but...
And think about this. If we're on a ball, and I'm here in the north watching me...
Cooper 360, weeknights at 8 and 10 on CNN.
The images look like something out of a movie. A tiny asteroid tearing through space at a speed of 33,000 miles per hour.
A 7-ton meteor shooting across the sky. The sonic boom heard over multiple states. The meteor 6 feet in diameter.
Red fireball streaking through the sky, moving at 40,000 miles per hour, and seen from at least 10 states, is a rare daylight meteor crashing into Earth.
So yeah, we've seen meteors crash into Earth. We've collected them. You can go and see them right now. But again, the real question is, why did he not do his due diligence? Why did he not check to see if we did or did not, in fact, see any meteorites hit the Earth? Because if he did, then he would already know that there was a response contrary to the claim he's making, and he could have just started with that. This is the process by which we test our own ideas. And if testing yourself is not part of your due diligence and part of your process, then what of your ideas? Why are these claims so easy to dispel? If I could ask my opponent one question, it would be, what is your standard of evidence? And why is it so weak? Why can a simple Google search show the inconsistency of your claims? Is this a video of pilots admitting that the Earth is flat?
Say that again.
I'm a member of the Flat Earth. You ready?
Ready? Oh.
I'm an American Airlines pilot. I'm a member of the Flat Earth Society.
God bless you, brother. Wow, the truth. I love it. Mwah.
How long have you been a pilot for? 43 years. Wow. What shape is the planet?
Flat. You're the pilot?
Hi.
How long have you been flying for?
Like for Delta, 21 years, but maybe like 30 something.
I want to know, because they say the pilots know a lot. Do you think the Earth is flat or no?
I know it's flat.
Okay, fair enough. So you're basically saying that an individual making a claim, even in their own field, is enough to convince you of that claim. Fair deal? So what happens when I can provide the same evidence contrary to the claim that you're making, which you have stated is sufficient to believe in a claim? Does that mean both of our claims are true? Well, no, it means both of our evidence is insufficient. So let's see if we can do that.
And what he meant was, he was out there and he saw it. The Earth is a ball, the same as the moon is, the same as Jupiter is, Mars, all those other planets we image. He saw it with his own eyes that the Earth, indeed, is a planet. It's not a saucer, it's not a disc. It's a planet, it's a beach ball.
Thank you very much. There's your answer. Thank you very much for talking to us, Digger.
Thank you.
So tell me, Neil, is the Earth flat?
We have video from space of the rotating spherical Earth. The Earth is
straight and level, and you never take into consideration the curvature of the Earth.
Actually, that's not true. I'm an airline pilot, and we do account for the curvature of the Earth. Number one, pitch attitude does not necessarily indicate climbing or descending. If you don't believe me, in straight and level flight, stick a bowling ball down the aisle. It will roll to the back of the plane. That's because the plane in level flight actually flies about 2 degrees nose up. Number two, we fly in a pressure medium. Our flight director, which determines where we are flying in pitch, is actually married to the altitude. And the altitude is actually tied to the altimeter. So if I move the altimeter, the altitude will change. The autopilot will try and correct and fly whatever is in that box. Take, for example, a recent flight I did from LAX to JFK. I actually had this guy on my flight. You done messed up, Aaron! But either way, using this simple calculation, we can show on a flight from LAX to JFK, the curvature to take into account over a 5-hour flight is about 35 degrees. The autopilot is constantly making adjustments to where the plane wants to go.
So now the evidence that you said was sufficient for your belief, I have now shown you equal evidence to the opposition. So now you either have to accept that to be true and have self-contradictory claims, or reject it and appeal to a special pleading fallacy. Either way, it's not looking good for you. What is a special pleading fallacy? It's basically when you establish a set of rules and reasoning or logic, and then you suspend those rules when it helps or hurts someone's case. You now must accept the video evidence that I've shown you, because by providing me that same evidence, you're implying it's sufficient enough for the claim. And if not, then why fucking send it? Again, it's not necessarily that the evidence contrary to flat Earth is so obvious. It's that it's so obvious and there seems to be no attempt to do academic due diligence to see if your claims are not completely irrational. If the response to these ridiculous claims you're making is in such abundance, then why not start there and respond accordingly? You mentioned being unable to fly to or across Antarctica and offered no evidence. How fast do you think with a simple Google search can I find a charter destination to or across Antarctica? Let's see. And if it's that easy for me to find a way to Antarctica, or even flying over Antarctica, then why didn't you see that, Noon? Why didn't you see that and address that? Now, this is just the first of 3 videos, and I don't want to unload too much on anyone. I just wanted to give you an idea of what we would be addressing. However, I did say I would be explaining physics like you're 11 or 12. So before we go, let's answer one last question using the conservation of momentum.
With the atmosphere, this is how you totally ignore reality while this independent of the ground helicopter flies in every other direction, which means it following momentum or being carried along with the atmosphere is once again completely asinine and a total fantasy religion.
So if I fly straight up in a helicopter, why doesn't the Earth continue moving beneath me? Why can't I fly straight up, just hover there for a while, and end up in Italy? I don't want to shame anyone for not knowing the answer to this, unless it's about 12 noon, and it's only 7:59 at the moment. Okay, so let's imagine you take a really big jump in the air. There's no wind for simplicity, and you're at the equator, where the Earth moves at about 1,600 kilometers an hour. Let's put you on a trampoline and assume that you can achieve an air time at about 3 seconds. So if you agree to this idea that a helicopter should just kind of fly back while the Earth continues to zip around, and you were to jump on that trampoline at the equator and achieve an air time of 3 seconds, it should put you back about 1.39 kilometers quickly. If we could just float up in a helicopter and let the Earth whiz by us at over 1,600 kilometers an hour, which is about 28 kilometers a second, then this also applies to you. If you jumped up in the air for 3 seconds, you would end west 1.39 kilometers away, and it would hurt. Now, you may not be a very observant person. However, I am willing to bet that you have noticed that children have not been flying due west off of their trampolines all over the world. You'll be surprised to know that you move with the Earth due to something called inertia. Objects in motion prefer to stay in motion unless acted upon by another force. You can test this by rolling a ball down a hill. More importantly, your momentum must be conserved. So if you're on the equator going at 1,600 kilometers an hour and you jump up in the air, why would you stop moving at that speed? Where did your momentum go? You did not conserve your momentum. There is a discrepancy and flaw in your mathematics that you haven't discovered with your efforts. And don't worry, I didn't forget about the drone moving in the elevator. Why doesn't this happen to the drone? Why can't the drone stay still in the elevator, but the helicopter can stay still on the Earth? Well, that's the difference between velocity and acceleration. One is actually moving at a different speed and the other's moving at a constant speed. You have that constant speed when you're on Earth. The Earth is not moving up or down, changing its velocity. But these are easy questions with simplistic answers. In our next video, we're going to try to address a few harder questions, if there is such a thing in flat Earth conspiracy theories. I am illusionist and philosopher Jason Jewell, and I will see you in part 2, where we address more ridiculous claims. It'll be fun.